Good Tavach, everybody. So, I'll tell you a Maisa. There was once a Jew in Russia. It goes back a while back, and the profession that he had was he was a Malamed, a Malamed of school children. In those days, even now, it was not the greatest profession in terms of making a lot of money, and he eked by a living, very, very modest, at best. So Maisa goes that it was one winter night. He's sitting with his family at home. It's snowing outside. It's a very cold winter night in Russia. And they're all huddled by the stove, to keep warm. All of a sudden there's a knock on the door. Bang on the door. So they quickly rush to open the door and they see Nebuch. There's an old man there, an old Yid, covered in snow, shivering, carrying a knapsack. And he doesn't even say any words, he's so freezing. So they bring him in, they put him by the stove, they give him a blanket, a cup of tea, some soup to warm himself, and he can barely get out any words to explain how he got lost and so on. But they say, listen, don't worry about it. You rest your bones, warm yourself. Tomorrow we'll see what we can do. Fine, that's what he does. He rests the next morning. Meanwhile, the next morning, while everyone is still sleeping, this old Yid wakes up early and sort of leaves a thank you note and leaves. Okay, fine. They did a mitzvah, maybe even had selves nefashos to save the guy's life. But okay. A little bit later, the kids go to the father, the Malamed, and they say, Tati, this person that stayed here last night, we noticed that he left his knapsack. So he's like, oh, okay. So they go over to the knapsack and they pick it up. And the father realizes this is heavier than what an old man should be able to carry. And so they open it, and it's full of gold. Mamish, a huge wealth over there. So he doesn't know what to do. He's going outside to look. This old man is far gone at this point. So the Yid doesn't know what to do. So he's not sure. He goes to the Rebbe. Who is his Rebbe? So his Rebbe was the Baal Tanya, the first Lubavitch Rebbe, Shneur Zalman of Liodi. So he goes to the Baal Tanya, and he tells him what happened, this whole Maisa with the person. So the Baal Tanya has a twinkle in his eye, and he says, that was not an old man, that was Elianovi, and you could keep it, Matana that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave to you. So then the Malamed says to her, he says, okay, wow, that's amazing. I'm a simple Malamed. I wouldn't even know the first thing about business. I don't even know what to do with the money. Like, what do I do? I could pay my debts, but what do I do? I don't know how to start a business, start a company. I don't know what to do. So the Rebbe says, don't worry, I'll give you hadracha. The Baal Tanya was a bucky and everything. So the Baal Tanya said, I'll give you hadracha. So he said, pay your debts, obviously, buy a nice house, whatever it is, take care of the things you need to take care of that you can. And whatever is remaining, so I'll teach you, I'll show you, what to invest in, v'chulu, v'chulu. No, time goes on, the person, grows accustomed to the business, and slowly but surely he becomes a wealthy person in his own right, and he doesn't need the hadrach anymore. But whenever a business, a new business deal or venture would present itself, certainly he would go to the Rebbe for a bracha, for advice. And so one particular time, the old Malamed now already, not a Malamed anymore, so he goes to the Baal Tanya and he says, I'm about to go to the big city, whether it be Moscow, whatever the big city was, and I just want a bracha from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe says, okay, you should be matzliach, and do me a favor, when you're there, maybe bring me back a present. So he goes to the city, and he comes back a few weeks later, and he comes to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe's like, oh, do you have a present for me? He said, yeah, sure. So he presents him a silver menorah, a shmek tabak box, something. So the Rebbe's like, that's very nice. Not exactly the present I wanted. So he's like, okay, so I'll go back. Next time you go for business, just let me know before, and I'll give you instructions. Okay. So a few months later, whatever the case may be, so the Yid is going back to the big city. So he goes to the Rebbe again, and he says, Rebbe, I'm going to the big city now, and last time I got the wrong present, but maybe now Rebbe could give me exactly what he wants, and I'll get 100% belief shalom. So the Rebbe says, I'll tell you like this, when you're in the big city, did you ever go to the theater before? Like the opera or whatever? So he's like, Chassidish Yid. He's like, no. So I was like, it's not a bad idea. Maybe go to the theater. Make sure that it's only, with men performing and everything, but go to the theater. Okay, very strange. It's fine. So he goes to the big city, does his business deals and so on. And the Rebbe said, go to the theater, fine. So he finds a theater that's just men singing and so on. So fine, he buys a ticket. But already now, he's not buying a regular seat. He's going to buy a box seat, a chashuv seat. It's the first time there, he doesn't even know what it is, but he's going to buy a box seat. So fine, he buys a ticket for a box seat, and he sits there, and this guy, the opera singer, is belting out whatever it is, he's used to the chazan in the shtibel. This is over his head. So he falls asleep. Fine. After the whole show is over, he's still sleeping. And so at some point, everything is already closed up, and the janitor is coming to clean the suites and so on. And so this janitor comes in, this Russian janitor comes in and sees this Chassidish Yid sleeping in one of the seats. So he goes him over and gives him like a nudge. He says, like, "V'smachs Yid, what are you doing here?" So he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I just fell asleep." So he's like, "Where you come from?" So he started telling this janitor. He said, "I come from a certain shtetl and so on." And he mentioned the name, and the janitor's like, "Oh, do you know Zalmalu?" Zalmalu. Do you mean the Baal Tanya, Shnei Zalman? He said, yeah, Zalmalu is a friend of mine. Do me a favor, when you go back, give him shalom. Tell him that Carl, the janitor, says hello. Okay. So the chassid realizes this must be something going on over here. So he goes back to Baal Tanya, and he says, "Rebbe, Carl, the janitor, says shalom." So, Carl says shalom. That was the gift I wanted. Do me a favor, he says to the chassid. Next time you go back, I want to return the favor. Okay. So a few months later, wherever it is, he's going back to the big city. So he goes to the Baal Tanya, and he says, "I'm going back. Rebbe said that I should tell you because you want to give something back to Carl." So he said, "Yeah, 100%." So the Rebbe goes to his office, and he comes out with a suitcase, and he says, "Take this and show it to Carl." So okay, fine. So he goes to the theater, whatever it is, books the ticket again, waits till after the show's over. Carl's coming, sweeping up. And so he says, it's good to see you again. How's Zalmalu doing? So Baruch Hashem, the Rebbe is doing just fine. And he wanted to give you shalom. So he sent me to give this to you, or to show it to you. And so he says, okay, let me see. So he takes a suitcase, he opens it up, and the chassid sees for the first, he didn't open the suitcase until now, that it's full of ksavim. It's full of ksavim. And the first title page of some manuscript that the Tanya is planning on publishing, first page is Tanya. It's a Sefer Lukutim Amar. It's a Sefer Tanya. And so Carl's looking through it. He's like, it's Taka. It's very good. Mamash Ruach HaKodesh. Very, very good. So he closes it and he sends it back to the Chayy. He says, go back to Zalmalu, you tell him, it's Gavaldik, you should be Matzliach. So he goes back to Baal Tanya. Baal Tanya says, Carl the janitor said it to be Matzliach. We're good to go. That's the Maisa. So that's not a haskama that you'll find in Sefer Tanya from Carl the janitor, but that's the Messiah of Maisa that happened. No, what do you take from such a Maisa? There's a lot of things you can learn. First of all, you never know when you see a janitor who the janitor is. You never know. But that idea of the Baal Tanya needing a haskama from this year that's in some favarfinite place, because that's sometimes the way it takes for a tzaddik to pick us up. We have to sort of be maskim. You have to want to be picked up, and so that's sometimes the avodah. The tzadikim of the generation and the Rabbanu Shloim and Torah, the Rabbanu is constantly trying to pick us up. We have to be maskim. So Hashem should help us this week. We should all be maskim, like Carl Jan. We should all be maskim that it's Taka Gevaldik Sefer, and with that we should be able to be picked up by the tzaddik emes and by the Rabbanu Shalom himself, Kaviyachol, the Exalted Tzadikim here, Amen.